Hello and welcome to Get Collected. I'm your host, Soul Brother Mike, and it's Tuesday, June 27th, 2017, and you're listening to Season 3, Episode 20. Get Collected is co-hosted by Chrissy Cochran.
Hey.
Today in What's the Deal, we'll be talking about our trip to the East Coast that's coming up this week. Then in Here's Something, I'm sharing with you my interpretation of a song by Sam Cooke called Only 16. And then in the last part of today's show called Get Poetic, Chrissy will be reading from Evangeline, an epic poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Now let's get to the show.
So what's the deal? Here's the deal. Mike's birthday is tomorrow. He'll be turning 29. We've got a bit of a busy day planned. We've got dinner with the family, drinks with friends in the evening in Walkerville, and we'll also be pre-recording next week's episodes of the podcast because we're going on vacation on Thursday. We're flying out to Nova Scotia to spend 10 days in and around the Annapolis Valley. I'm especially excited to go spend some time at my family cottage. It's where we got married, and we haven't been back there since, so it's going to be really good to get out in the woods for a while. Campfires, boating, hiking, all that good stuff. Plus, while we were out east, we were playing a show. It's happening on Thursday, July the 6th at the Al Whittle Theatre's Studio Z in Wolfville. It's a special, intimate studio space with theater-style seating. Normally, you can get in through the cafe in front of the theater, but because the doors open at 7:30, the entrance is going to be through the alley instead. The show itself starts at 8 o'clock, and tickets are just $10, and they're on sale right now on Eventbrite at chrissy.eventbrite.ca. Tickets are pretty limited, so if you'd like to guarantee your spot, please get your tickets in advance, and we'll see you there on Thursday, July the 6th in Wolfville at Studio Z.
So now for the next part of today's show called Here's Something. Today I'm sharing with you my interpretation of a song by Sam Cooke. The song is called Only 16. I was overhearing this song from the other room the other day, and I was hearing the melody separated from the music and thinking, wow, what a modern sounding melody. So I went and wrote some new chords, so a new chord arrangement for the song, but kept most of the original melody. So it's sort of an interpretation. I also changed some of the lyrics as well to make it less creepy and make it more nostalgic. So this is my interpretation of Only 16 by Sam Cooke. Enjoy. He was only 16. Only 16, and he loved her so, but she was too young to fall in love, and he was too young to know. He'd laugh and he'd sing and do the little things that would make her heart glow, but he was too young to fall in love, and she was too young to know. Why did he give his heart so fast? He'll never let it happen again. He was a mere lad of 16, and he's hardly aged since then. He was only 16, with eyes that would glow, but she was too young to fall in love, and he was too young to know. Why did he give his heart so fast? He'll never let it happen again. He was a mere lad of 16, and he's hardly aged since then. He was only 16, with eyes that would glow, but she was too young to fall in love, and he was too young to know. Yeah, 'Cause he was too young to know.
All right, that was Only 16 by Soul Brother Mike. Reach out to him on Twitter at Soul Brother Mike to let him know what you thought. Also, if you'd like to download and own that recording, simply subscribe to the Get Collected podcast on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll get access to all the music we feature in the Here's Something part of our show, which is often rare and otherwise unreleased. So go subscribe now at patreon.com/getcollected. Now for the last part of today's show on Get Poetic, I'm going to read to you a segment of the epic poem Evangeline, A Tale of Acadie. It was written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow in 1847, and it tells the story of a fictional Acadian girl and her search for her lost love Gabriel, set during the time of the expulsion of the Acadians. For those who don't know, the Acadians were French colonists who settled in Nova Scotia during the 17th and 18th centuries, some of whom were also indigenous peoples as they worked and lived in harmony with the Mi'kmaq and the Métis. The first settlers arrived in 1604, and they couldn't survive the harsh winters without the help of the indigenous tribes. The Acadians were forcibly removed from their lands in 1755 by the British when they refused to sign an oath of allegiance to Britain during the 7 Years' War. The Acadians were mostly deported to the 13 colonies, which are today the eastern United States. They refused to stay where the British put them, and they migrated to port cities to find other Acadians, and eventually a large portion of the population settled in Louisiana after it was transferred to the Spanish government in 1762. In the 19th century, the Acadians re-established their culture there in Louisiana, and Acadian became locally known as Cajun. As the daughter of Acadians, I know this story well, and I grew up playing at the foot of a statue of Evangeline in Grand Pré at the National Historic Site, where my mom worked as an interpreter for many years, telling visitors all about Acadie and the history of the Acadian people. So I wanted to read to you from Evangeline, partly to tell you a bit about the Acadian people, but mostly because the setting is the Annapolis Valley, where we are headed on vacation later this week. The part we'll listen to now is from the first 2 pages of the first part of the poem. In the Acadian land, on the shores of the basin of Minas, distant, secluded, still, the little village of Grand Pré lay in the fruitful valley. Vast meadows stretched to the eastward, giving the village its name, and pasture to flocks without number. Dikes that the hands of the farmers had raised with labor incessant shut out the turbulent tides. But at stated seasons the floodgates opened and welcomed the sea to wander at will over the meadows. West and south there were fields of flax, and orchards and cornfields spreading afar and unfenced over the plain, and away to the northward Blomidon rose, and the forests old and aloft on the mountains. Sea fogs pitched their tents, and mists from the mighty Atlantic looked on the happy valley, but never from their station descended. There, in the midst of its farms, reposed the Acadian village. Strongly built were the houses, with frames of oak and chestnut, such as the peasants of Normandy built in the region of the Henrys. Thatched were the roofs, with dormer windows, and gables projecting over the basement below protected and shaded the doorway. There, in the tranquil evenings of summer, when brightly the sunset lighted the village street and gilded the vanes on the chimneys, matrons and maidens sat in snow-white caps and in kirtles scarlet and blue and green, with distaffs spinning the golden flax for the gossiping looms, whose noisy shuttles within doors mingled their sound with the whir of the wheels and the songs of the maidens. Solemnly down the street came the parish priest, and the children paused in their play to kiss the hand he extended to bless them. Reverend walked he among them, and up rose matrons and maidens, hailing his slow approach with words of affectionate welcome. Then came the laborers home from the field, and serenely the sun sank down to his rest, and twilight prevailed. Anon from the belfry softly the angelus sounded, and over the roofs of the village columns of pale blue smoke, like clouds of incense ascending, rose from 100 hearths, the homes of peace and contentment. Thus dwelt together in love these simple Acadian farmers, dwelt in the love of God and of man. Alike they were free from fear that reigns with the tyrant, and envy, the vice of republics. Neither locks had they to their doors, nor bars to their windows, but their dwellings were open as day, and the hearts of the owners. There the richest was poor, and the poorest lived in abundance.
All right, that's our show for today. Thanks so much for listening. Tune back in on Thursday for an all-new philosophy. Stay tuned and stay collected.
Collected.